Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you step by step how to create this adorable Christmas tree painting on canvas. Now I'm going to explain every color I use, every tool I use. I will explain why I'm doing that, and I will also demonstrate a couple different options. So if you don't have exactly what I have, you can see how understanding the why gives you more options for the how. Now on the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He is going to facilitate this fabulous, fun, beginner-friendly art lesson of a Christmas tree today
You want the
by making sure that the can. Oh, thank you for my coffee. Sippy,
thought that would be a
sipping.
good time there.
Just is a good time for a coffee. When it's always a good time for coffee. So we're going to be doing this simplistic Christmas tree. It doesn't have a lot of colors. I did put out one extra just to have it, and I'll talk to you about that decision. It shouldn't be a particularly long or intense class. The first thing I'd like us to do right now is let's take a deep breath and let it out. Kind of relax our mind. There's a lot going on in the world, and let's put it down for a second. Let's take that breath in again. Put it down. Now I want you to breathe in fun and joy and creativity. And release fear and doubt. Just try to put down the world, your adulting world, for a second and come be in your arting world. And if you're feeling an anxiety or expectation on your painting, I want you just to be like, you know what, it's fine. I'm just going to do the steps. And when you put all the steps together, the end result is a tree, which is entirely expected. That's what the thumbnail says and the title says and the description. And this woman has a lot of people following her. She might have done it before. We're going to be okay together. Now, I'm going to keep the explanations fun and simple and energetic, but you are actually learning to paint, because I don't teach my students just to do this painting. I teach my students how to paint. So it's not watch me paint, it's learn how to paint. So these skills will translate from this painting to another painting to another painting to another painting. So it's explained simple, but these are real valuable skills. I'm excited about today, John. Are you excited about today?
I am. I was just over. I'm looking at our displays here, making sure that all of our feeds are good. And man, I just noticed we have such a wonderful crew of people here. So
I'm
nice
just
to see
prepping my
everybody.
stuff together. All right. So the first thing, we're going to go over the materials. Now I have an 8x8 stretched canvas. I've got my paint out on something called a wet palette. The Stay Wet palette by Masterson. It just keeps my paint wet longer. I have Cad Red, Cad Yellow. I have decided to put out Ultramarine Blue and Phthalo Blue, and that's just because I love my ultramarine for my grays on my snow so much that I was like, maybe that we should play with that a little bit. So I've got Phthalo Blue here, Ultramarine Blue here, Phthalo Green. So the Phthalo Blue and Phthalo Green are next to each other. Burnt Sienna, Mars Black, Titanium, White. I sometimes, if my paint is drying very quickly or I want to glaze, will use satin glazing liquid. I don't know sometimes if I'm going to use this during a painting, because that's about conditions and techniques. So I don't really have any techniques I need it for, but if conditions, because our heaters are starting to come on, it's winter, are very dry, if my paint isn't working as I want, I may add it. And I'm recommending it to you. And no, I don't work at the company, but I do have friends over there, but I don't work over there or anything or get paid for saying that. I also may use my golden fluid acrylic titanium white to do my snow with the back of my brush, just because it's a lot easier for me teaching. You could thin your thick acrylic paint, your white paint, and make it thinner like this and just do it with that. So it's really your preference. Those things are all up to you. You will also see me pull out my 1264 Fabriano multimedia pad, because we will, when we do the steps, sometimes look at color mixes or sometimes look at techniques in here so we can get a sense of how things look, because it can get visually confusing on the palette or visually confusing on the canvas. And it can be nice to take an element out and isolate it on white and talk about it specifically. Sir John. Now, if you're here for the first time, this is a live stream. We take live questions. Just put them all in caps. We won't think that you are yelling at us. We will be answering questions if we have them at the breaks. During the break, when I go from one step to the next, we may dry the canvas with a hairdryer. John may run an ad so we can satisfy the YouTube pantheon of YouTubery that wants ads in the middle. And that way you guys are doing that. We'll chat a little bit. answer questions, and then go back into the education. So this is a way for us to keep our social family time and connect with each other and not be lonely and really reach out, but still keep the lesson. So if you're watching on replay, when you get to the steps, if you don't like chattiness, if you don't like the hairdryer, if you don't like topics, or it just isn't for you, just fast forward and skip it. And so we're going to try to keep it there, and I'll try to keep my scattered brain on topic for the lesson. How do you think I'm going to do, John?
I think you're going to be just fine.
All right, let's throw up step 1, sir.
Oh, I got to get a button ready. Step 1.
So step 1's going to be fun. Step 1, I am going to paint the whole surface. I'm going to put my Faber-Ana out here. Get my rainbow roll call out of the way for the kids' show. Still working on that. My goodness. Okay, let's talk about, we're going to be doing a ground, which is a solid color over the whole canvas. And I've been thinking about what I wanted to do for that. And it's kind of why I thought to put out my ultramarine blue paint as well, because sometimes it does a very nice teal with the greens. The first color I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my phthalo green together. And I might mix a little burnt sienna in there. And I'm going to swatch that on here and see what I think of that color. Because I'm looking for a teal color. Not a turquoise color, but a teal color. So it is a distinctive dark blue-green. Look at that. So when I'm swatching out, and I just want you guys to practice this, because sometimes you won't be able to see it on the palette. You won't be able to see the color the way that you want it. The other one that I had considered doing that might work equally well is phthalo blue and burnt sienna. And what I do is I just look and go, is this the color that I'm looking for? And I like that value. I like that green cast. So the color I want to use for the background is phthalo blue and burnt sienna. But you just saw me mix 3 that are very close to each other. That's why understanding how it works helps you. Now, all you have to do for this part of the step is just paint the whole canvas phthalo blue, burnt sienna. So I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo blue to my burnt sienna. And just up and down. I'm using a Catalyst Princeton brush just to paint the whole surface. And that's all we're going to do. Breathe deep. So you'll notice that I'm letting my brush strokes go all different directions at first, and that's just because I'm right now trying to work this into the canvas. I sometimes worry that when the washer is finished, it makes its little beep that I'm going to get content ID'd. We're going to just paint this out here. If you heard that in the background. I'm going to take a little bit more of my phthalo blue and my burnt sienna. And you can see it's kind of a transparent color. So getting the hue correct is one stage of this. And then getting the depth or how dark it is another stage. So see how it's kind of like, what's a great way? Scumbly, messy, all of that. Now, I will sometimes take my phthalo blue and my burnt sienna and then come back over just real quick to create a vertical brushstroke pattern. Just once I know that the canvas is covered and I have everything I need. And it's okay if that went a little more brown, we don't mind. Right now, we're just getting color on the canvas. Remember, you can paint around the sides if you want to finish it or frame it. But if you're just framing, you still need to paint around the bend of the canvas. Otherwise, the frame won't sit well, look as good as it could. So it's just a nice thing you can do as an artist to not make the framer's job too much. So see, this is dark and it's streaky, and that is to be expected. If you're painting less expensive paints, you may find that the effect for you is much greater. That's normal. If that's happening to you where you're like, man, I don't even have it as dark as, like it's a little streaky, but mine's so much more streaky. You're going to dry yours when I dry mine here. And then you're going to do this coat again twice. Yours is 2-coat first step if you're painting paint that's super streaky at this level and isn't really covering. That's the trick when we're painting economic paint, is to sometimes double up those layers to make up for the depth. But for this one, we're all good, and I'm going to get my hairdryer.
Get the hairdryer out.
Yes, and I will be right back. John will do an ad, and I'll be right back.
So, I'm going to go back up here, and the bug, thank you so much. Bug says, your first tutorial was what brought into my world was the Lonely Christmas Tree. Oh, wow, the Lonely Christmas Tree. I do remember that one. You know, we've got a lot of nostalgia stuff coming up this holiday season. There's so many cool things that we kind of got in the works. Matter of fact, that we've got some of our moderators are here on site with us doing some behind-the-scenes prep for this holiday season. We're probably going to have a bit of a garage sale, as it turns out. Lots of cool things there that we're kind of crafting together. So we'll see how that comes together. There'll be more news on that later. But thank you, Bug. Thank you. I'm back.
Are you back?
You're back.
I'm back from outer space.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? I just wanted to share with this and with you guys that the Monet Art Museum has a Nightmare Before Christmas exhibit going on right now. They're going to run it in San Antonio, Texas until January 14th. I just had to share with you that this exhibit is going on because they don't often do a lot of these wonderful partnerships with filmmakers and animators like Tim, and they're going to be showing process and behind the scenes and really getting to look at his sculpt and how he worked. If I was in Texas and San Antonio, I would want to head out there. This is 2023. They're going to be doing this till about mid-January 2024. You should check out their website. I just want to tell you guys and tell you that, not that we're in Texas anymore.
You ready for your next step?
I am ready for my next step. All right, so here I will kind of think a little bit about placement. And I'm going to make sketches with paint. You could use your traceable right now, but I would actually suggest, no, it's a good time to use it right now because it will let you know where everything is. But I'm going to sketch in freehand what I need to know with paint. And you're going to see me do that so that you guys know where everything is. And if you want to freehand it, I'm going to come down here to a couple inches from the bottom, and I'm going to make another mark. And I'm going to come over here and make another mark about the same position on either side of the canvas. And I'm just going to see how lightly I'm sketching even with the paint? This little hill shape. So that's helping me make my hill for my tree. Now, trees, and if there are any skills here that seem to you very weird, I want you to know that's normal. Art isn't one of those things that the indicator of you being able to do it is that it's easy. Pretty much in art, there will be some people that for which things are easy, but most of us, it's very challenging and we love learning how to do it, but we don't expect it to come the first time. So I'm going to show you this thing just in case the tree process doesn't come the first time. I'm going to make a little dot up here a couple inches from the top because I want room for my star. And I have to know where my light is coming down and where my world is coming down. And I know that my tree comes down a little bit from the top of the hill at the bottom. So I'm going to make a little bit of a curve right here, just a smidge at the top of my hill, and draw a very light triangle. What this isn't my tree. This is just the space the tree takes up. So I don't have to pull my light down at. I know where I know my star's right here. So that's where I'm going to have my radial light going out. If you're using the traceable, and if you've never used a traceable before, don't worry, you're okay. We have videos, like I have 3 videos on how to transfer images onto a canvas. So we've got one for you that will work. And I have written instructions in almost every chapter sample we produce. So I have lots of explanation for it. But basically, this is what we are thinking out for this canvas when we're thinking like an artist. And you can kind of see that this is very symmetrical. It is very the same on the left side and the right side. Whenever we make like any kind of composition or story that is like this, where it's the same on the left and the right, that tends to be a very still and restful composition. So that's just something to know, like why you might enjoy that is because, well, it's still and it's restful. All right, let's call that a step I don't need to dry. I don't need to dry at all. I think we just go right on to step 3. Excellent. Okay. So I need to put my darker range coming in first. I want to put that in before I put my snow hill. I want to layer my snow hill over the dark. I want to layer my tree over the dark. And I want to be able to layer my star over the glow.
Now, I do want to say that Mary sent a wonderful thank you for the breathe exercise. It really helped. I appreciate it.
Very glad. I talked to John about this. I've been wanting to do this a long time. And if you've been here long, you might even remember me and the sea turtles where I was very sick. But we did a calm and relaxing ASMR. I have a sick voice video. If you haven't seen it, it's 2 turtle silhouettes. And I did it in the YouTube space, and I whispered the whole thing because I lost my voice. And it made me start thinking about, it'd be really fun to do meditative stuff on the show. And I hope I'm going to be able to get that in. Now, I'm going to use one of my favorite brushes. This is a number 1 Princeton Select Oval Mop. And I'm going to use it because it's going to give me a nice smooth application of paint. And it'll also make some of the blending a little bit easier, even without medium. So I'm going to come to my phthalo blue again and my burnt sienna again and get that blue-green color, right, that we swatched out so we knew what it was. And I'm going to come to the side and just brush up and down. And you're going to see right away, and I'll come over my hill line a little bit with this, but you're going to see right away that it's so dark immediately. Didn't we just nail that value? Value is how light or dark it is. So I'm going to get a little water on my brush. If you're having any trouble with these, the next video is how to use them. Because sometimes it's hard. Now I know what is on my left will be on my right. And as I come here, I have to start to lighten and warm the color, which means I'm going to add a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow. I'm going to come right there to where it is already wet, brushing up and down. I don't mind if I go over my tree a little bit. And you can see how that's created just a smidge of lightness right there. And now I'm going to add a lot more white and a lot more yellow, I think. And come right here up to where my star would be and bring that down. Just bring that down just a little bit. Just brush it in. If you like these colors, I have a waterfall that's very similar to this. And you can see it kind of go right over, into the tree. And that's just so that this will show around the branches. Look at that go. I'm going to rinse out. Now I'm going to come from the right side towards the middle, doing exactly the same thing. Exactly the same procedure. I do like to rinse my brush out. And when I rinse out my mop, I use a towel to squeegee out. You could use paper towels for this too. All the extra water, because I don't want it waterlogged for this. I want it dry damp. See how it's not leaving any water in my hand? Dry damp. You could use another brush. You could use a bright here. You could use angle brush. You could just use any brush you're comfortable with. This is not a technique that is brush specific. We're just doing vertical brush strokes, making a nice blue-green. Both sides of the canvas, just like before. Everything just the same. You can see I'm just brushing up and down, making sure there's just a little bit of the color there so that when I come in with my white and a little bit of my yellow, and kind of brush it and blend it. So where this paint is wet and this paint is wet as I'm putting in, you can see that creates that diffused transition. Then as I'm coming in, I'm going to add a lot more white. And a little more yellow. Trying to catch that blue-green that we've got here. Come right there. And down. Kind of blending that in down the tree just a smidge. Not too much. Whoa. I kind of went in a wonky way with my brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse it out. Paint isn't dry. I'm going to dry it off. Pull out all the extra water where I had the boo-boo. And you saw me go scrub, scrub, scrub into my towel, and I'm going to just fix that. All right, that's pretty good. So what we're trying to create here is a column of light that shows that this tree is got a nice little illumination, and isn't that wonderful to get? Okay, let's dry this. Now John will run an ad. We will catch up, answer questions, talk with our community, and then we're getting on a step. So if you're here on the replay and you're here for just the instruction, you'll fast forward through the step to the instruction. But if you're here for the family and the art fam and just to connect with us, it's so good to see you today. I have missed you bunches. Let me dry. I'll let John say hi to you. And if we've got any questions, I'll take those.
Well, hello, Nana Bates. Welcome to Emoji Club. I'm going to go ahead and hit this little ad thing. And the reason why we put the ads at the breaks is so that YouTube it tells us that it will wait a while after an ad has run before it'll run another one. So the idea is if we do it here at the break, then hopefully you won't miss something later, and that's why we're trying to control it that way. So thank you for understanding and knowing that it is the YouTube way of things now. So meh.
What did we meh?
YouTube's ads.
Sorry, guys. It's just been a thing. Oh, if you are doing the Zoom class, the Christmas Cow Zoom class on Patreon, we're having a bonus one tomorrow at 1 p.m. I will send out a newsletter today. Just wanted to say something in the class too. And if you're like, wait, Zoom class, I want to know more. I'm running a try before you buy over on Patreon because we added Patreon to our patronage. So people have signed up on our website. If you're already signed up on our website and you're doing the Zoom, you're good. Some people sign up in our store, and some people have signed up on YouTube, and some people have signed up on Patreon. If you sign up on your website, I just want to let you guys know that that doesn't unlock anything over on Patreon. You have to go into your dashboard where we give you all the same links and all the same stuff. And you don't have to move or do anything. And if you want to try it for free, you can try it. And if the free trial doesn't give you a chance to do both, I'll just send you the links because I'm not going to gatekeep you finishing your painting because that would be weird.
Right.
So you can try it and not worry if it's a multi-course. We'll just make sure you have the links to finish that painting at least, even if you're not into the whole patronage. All right. Do we have our steps?
We're ready for our next step.
We are ready. So this is a number 12 Raphael d'Artagnan D brush. And a D brush is a brush that has a smooth side, right? Where you have this sort of smoother edge, and then it's got a blendy side. And what that lets you do, and I'll pull out some blue and white so you can kind of see what we're going to do. We're going to be doing snow with a little bit of burnt sienna and a little bit of white. So it's going to be kind of in that color. That's the dark, dark color. And then you add more white, just more and more and more white, to get to these more snow colors. So that's how you're going to get there. But let's go into our dark color real quick. So if the flat side is down on this and the edge is there, you get a nice kind of smooth line. But I can also scumble on the back side and blend. You could use a different brush. You could use, let me just find it. And this is an angle brush, right? So you could just take an angle brush. And also, so you've got both techniques on whatever's in your bucket. You could do this with a bright, you can do it with round. Sometimes understanding that what you're trying to do is create, kind of an irregular blended effect between two colors, or if you know that, it's going to be smooth, you guys can do it. But what you're wanting to be able to do is create a kind of clear edge and then also blend as you go in. Because the hill, if you'll notice in our reference, is light up at the top. See up there, it's light up at the top, and then it gets darker as it goes down. So we're going to want to be able to make that transition easily, which is why I chose this D brush. If you like the D brush and you want to try one out, we have them at the store. I have an art store. All right, let's put in our slightly darker snow color, and then we'll build up to the lighter one. And they'll come up under my tree, and you'll notice that right here, And I'm doing what's called scumbling, which is I've got kind of a brush that isn't loaded with too much paint. And I'm just pushing it around the canvas with force. Pretty rough on it, actually. This particular filament on this brush is a hog bristle, and sometimes that does give you a nice softer effect. But one of the problems is trying to make sure, just like with the mop brush, that you don't let it become waterlogged. That's pretty good with that. I'm not minding that. Now I rinse it out and I'm drying it off. And I'm come here and add a little more brown and blue. We're doing so good. You're doing so good. Coming in and getting a little more white into it. And you can see here, by using this brush, I can create kind of a rough, more snow-like effect. A little bit of brown and ultramarine blue together and titanium white. Really good snow. And I'm just going across the bottom with that dark color, across that bottom with more shadow. And then with a little more white. Notice I kind of scoop and I smudge and I nudge the paint around. Kind of. There's a little bit of the nudging. It's okay to nudge. Kind of adding a little bit of lightness where I know I'm going to have the stars, but I'll get those in later. Right now I just needed that basic tree. Running that dark down low and brushing it up. Super nice. It's fun. You can have it be a little messy. It's okay. Rinse out your brush. You're all right. You're doing super good. Now, I want to dry this, and while we dry this, John's going to run an ad. We'll take questions from the community, and, you know, if anything interesting is going on, we'll talk about it.
All right.
If you are here on the replay, you can fast forward through the chatting and the talking and catch the next part of the education. I am going to dry the canvas. John, I love you.
I love you too.
See you soon.
So, we had a good question here. Lavinia asks, where else besides the Art Sherpa can I get a D brush? I can't find them anywhere else. You know, I can't really answer that. And in truth, it's not like we don't really monitor the stock of other stores. It's sort of like not what, like our whole goal is to try to make it so that our store has them for you at the best price that we can predictably. We work with the manufacturers directly, so if you ever have an issue with anything, you always have a venue to get support from the manufacturer because everything that we have was purchased through manufacturer support. So, we're not shipping to Canada. I didn't understand you were in Canada there, Lavinia. I'm not sure who would carry them, but I tell you what, I'll look into it to find out. Oops.
On the I think I did it on the community tab, and I put it in the group. And if it's not on the community tab, I'll put it in. I'll even include it in the newsletter that has the Canadian art stores that you guys recommend, and what I've seen on Michael's for sale. I've just curated that list together, and I do believe that the listed stores there have them, and I don't know who else. Jackson's maybe in the UK. Chuck Jackson's. Sydney in Australia, I think, tends to carry a pretty broad line of products, and where I think the brush guys also ship internationally. So I don't know if that's still true, but I think they do. So we move on.
I think we are ready
to
for
the
another
next step. We'll get you that brush. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'll find out for sure. Okay, I'm going to continue on with my D brush just because it's a very useful brush for what I'm about to do, because I want to kind of create some glow and a little bit more, kind of illumination and everything diffused around the tree. So let's start with just a little bit of our yellow. I might smidge some red into it so it's warm and get some white. And I am going to just use this part of the brush, and I'm making little kind of rounded brush strokes. You can always wipe off on a paper towel or a towel if you need to lighten your load. You can also glaze. This is kind of a dry brushing. So dry brushing is an early way that you can kind of learn to blend as a new painter. You'll never stop using dry brushing, but I'm just saying that it's one of those ones that maybe comes sooner. And so it's about just having not a lot of paint on your brush. You don't want to have a lot of paint. And you want a nice canvas surface to work with because it'll let you you can see kind of just creating that sense of that there. I can go right back into my phthalo blue, burnt sienna, and white. And you can see I just take that light value and I try to diffuse and blend it into the canvas by using a light application of paint. Let me give you an idea how light that is, because sometimes it's hard to see how light I'm applying the paint, but this is how it's coming off my brush. See how that's just barely kissing the canvas? It's just dusting a color. It's leaving a blush of color there. That's kind of what we're creating, is that blush of color. So that's about the load you'd want to definitely have going about that. And I might come and add a little highlight that might be following my little triangle down. And that's a nice thing to put in because it may give me a little more contrast later that will really make my tree pop. So taking that time now can really benefit me. I can always go into phthalo blue and burnt sienna, right? From our background to improve that blend, to improve that glow. So I can come back with that color and wiggle it in. Sometimes a little color does a lot. You can make little changes that have big impacts. There we go. I'm just dry brushing. A dry brushing blend, and I'm going to bring a little bit of this light color. It's not my lightest color around the tree. It's not my lightest glow, but it's a lighter color. So when I come along the hill, even though I'm doing this very simplistic decorative little painting, there's no reason for it not to have a little idea. You know how snow sometimes, like, it just drifts up and dusts up and it creates this little glow. And we can do that here. Look at us go. Let's call that a step. Step 6. Excellent. Now, I do want to dry my canvas before I do the next thing. No, actually, I don't need to. I don't need to. I thought I would, but I don't need to. But I am going to talk to you about something. When you're doing trees, there's a couple concepts. Sometimes when we're doing the type of tree, and I'll show you real quick, that's a pine tree where we're trying to say, oh, this is a pine, and we come up to the top, and we sort of build this tree from the top down, right, with its thinner branches up top, and we kind of stipple and pull out, but it's a top-down sort of tree build, if that makes sense, where we're building from the top and coming down and shaping the tree.
Let's do that again because I couldn't see it from the overhead there.
Okay, let's try again. So I'm going to talk about the first way we think of doing a tree. I'll do it right here. All right, so we come up and we tend to, want to work on our top and add little branches, little details that could be coming out. And we're really sort of thinking about the silhouetting of the tree, right? And that is one way to find the shape. But we went and found the base. I know how big my base is. I'm not going to discover my base by widening up. A lot of people build their tree from top down. What you used to do when you follow along with Bob on TV, right? Oftentimes is a top-down tree. And that works super fun with a fan brush. And I've got 100 million videos about a fan brush doing a pine tree. But you see how I'm widening it as I go down. This, we know how wide it is. So we can do the technique you might do for scales or shingles, a type of layering technique. Now the color is going to start out a little bit of my burnt sienna and my phthalo green, where it's going to be starting out, pretty dark color. And from here, because I've got just little flick outs on here, I can do the base first. So I'm going to try to flick that out. And I'll do this with a lighter color so you can see what I mean. Then if I come in on the next layer, see how that builds a depth in my tree? Instead of coming down, I am layering as I go up. So that these flicks, the ones that are coming up the tree like this, they're layering in like scales.
Now, if you're not having a D brush or a filbert, what would you if you could just make do with pretty much anything you had there and just kind of be similar but not the same.
Round brush.
Round brush, square brush, flat brush.
Yeah, you want something that's going to let you have some control over the tree shape, right? Like, so this is giving me some control.
Yeah.
You know, but again, I can do this just the same. I could do it with a hog round. I could do it with a filbert. I could do it with a square. But what I really want to understand is how it layers up. Because more than all these different little techniques or marks, it's the layering that's going to give us the look. And we have so much value when we're highlighting the outer branches. So we've got a lot of room to make it all go and come out okay.
That's pretty cool.
All right, so I'm going to grab my filbert. This is a Raphael number 8 precision filbert. I know I can see my tree here and it's dark color, so I'm going to take my burnt sienna and my phthalo green, no white, no other color. And I'm going to find these 3 marks. And what these 3 marks do is they're along my arc, so I can kind of arc that base of the tree. Now I'm going to be putting a shadow under here for sure. You can see I can sort of flick and blend that out here. Pretty solid in the center. Now most of this is right, like from the top up here down, right? Most of this tree is a dark color that is deep in shadow, right? Phthalo green, burnt sienna. So I've got my cone kind of painted in. I'm far on the inside of my lines. And even though, because it's so dark, I might not see all of the little brushstroke details, I'm still going to practice them. And the reason I'm going to take this moment to practice them, let's put another little, and go across our little skirt. And actually, it's like a skirt. I even have a girl who's dressed in a Christmas tree dress as a painting with step by step. She's really gorgeous. I have a lot of trees and stuff. So I have a lot of different ways we've done trees. Okay, I got to flick that out there because I want a regimented coming up build up on my tree. That's a good beginning. We see some structure there. Another thing that I can do while I'm here, I'm going to take my filbert and my, oh, actually, I think I'm going to take my, I've ended up taking my phthalo blue. It got some brown in it, but I think what I really needed was my ultramarine blue. And I'm just doing it, you know, some of that shadow in the snow. So I'm going to come out from my tree with my shadow. Not all the way to the edge. See, the light's kind of like down from the light in the snow. I can wiggle even on my side here. I know I've got stars I'll be doing, but I can start to think about that radial. And it's a dry brush. There's not a lot of paint on my brush. I'm going to add a little bit of lightness here, just kind of thinking about these. I'll be putting my stars in and defining that a little more, but I kind of do want a radial fan of light coming out here. Now, I do want to dry this, everything, and then come back, and then we're going to do the next step.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. I need to heat my coffee soon.
We can do that. We'll make a mute there, and then I'm going to go over here to my little control panels if I can find them. Oh, there it is. Boop. And thank you all for joining us on this wonderful Christmassy lonely holiday tree thing. And you know, the bug, I was thinking about that. That's really cool that you joined us the first time on the lonely tree. It was a while ago. And to all the people who have joined us for the first times, we appreciate it. We love that you join us. So much. I'm going to be doing coffee warm up after I push this button.
Actually, push that button. All right, so I have here a number 4 Raphael to Artney brush. It's a round made with hog bristles, and so it gives me kind of a nice scumbly effect. I'm going to be doing some nice thoughtful work here for a second. Like, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brush, get it wet, dry it off with a towel. You can do any dry brush you need to, but I'm going to just get a little bit of white here. And I'm going to come up, so there's like a little 1/4 inch above the tree. I'm going to just very carefully start to think about my little halo. And see, I'm just doing little circles with hardly any paint, right? It's dry brush. It's doing fairly good. Now I'm going to come here and remember that we had the background color, which was our phthalo blue and burnt sienna, and then we add a little white to kind of create that distant poofity snow. So I've got a slightly lighter color here, and I'm going to add some, I guess what it is that this is like a wind that's coming off the hill. It's dusting up. And see how I just kind of take my little brush and it's lyrical. Lyrical is like the brush dances a little bit. It goes woohoo. It's sort of fun to do. Sort of totally fun to do. I love you so much. Thank you. You are the best ever. Oh, well, I love you too, Colleen. Also the best. Notice that I kind of wiggle that up. And let's look at that a little bit, because that might be kind of hard to wrap our heads around. One more sippy though. So what I'm doing here, I've got the brush, it's loaded very light, and so see how these brush strokes have a bit of a curl to them, and I connect with the surface but barely offloading paint. So this starts to give me that wispiness that comes along the hill, and then because we've already got a dark value here And then as they lighten, it starts to give us that misty mist effect. It's kind of awesome. We should be pretty darn proud of ourselves. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow, clean, no green in it, hopefully, and a little white. And just make sure that my little spot coming down, maybe a little more white. Wipe my brush off because I don't want it to be too much. And I'm just trying to make this little area of glow just a little more cheerful and chipper and ooh, so lovely. Set out. Now I'm going to come along, I'm going to grab some white and I'm mix it into my snow color, which was our ultramarine blue and our burnt sienna. Back into this. You're so welcome, Lindsay Michelle. Just dry brushing this, right? This is lovely. Just dry brushing, dry brushing. Now I am going to put another layer, right, on the tree. But we're going to kind of change it up a little bit. Now we're going to take our phthalo green and our burnt sienna. Little less burnt sienna, a little more phthalo green, and now this time a little bit of cad yellow. And I'm going to flick a little branch highlight out there. It's just the start. A little bit of yellow. Notice I'm not going deep up into the tree. And that same layering, let's look at that color too. We've seen it earlier. So it's burnt sienna, right? Phthalo green is our dark one, and then we add yellow into that, and then it lightens up, and then we can add even more. All right, so there's a lot of ranges to lighten it up. I'm going to darken it a little bit because I want this to be, I want the outer edges of the tree to be the lightest, and then up here at the top, so there's a focal of light around this area, and then on these outer edges. Coming there and sort of brushing down a flare of shape. And I'll go everywhere, and then I'll puzzle this one over here in and puzzle that one over here. And just adding little bits of highlight. Less is more, my friend. Less is more. Just across the tops. You've got it. You can do it. I want to remind you all to do something for me. And add a little bit of a little flick there because it just feels like I needed it. Take a deep breath. Let it out. It's easy, easy when you're doing something and you're thinking to hold your breath. Now I'm going to add just a little more yellow and maybe some brown into my greens. So you see how I took a little burnt sienna and yellow over here. And I'm adding just a little bit of that highlight there. And when I'm looking at it, I'm going, oh no, I need you a little more green than you are. So that will happen. Like I will go in and be like, this is too bright. This isn't bright enough. Adding another little kiss of the yellow coming up the tree. right here. We have a nice sort of shape. It comes sort of out and down. It almost makes a diamond, but you don't see the diamond because the brush strokes are so regular, but that's actually sort of what happens. And then in the symmetry of a tree, just so you kind of know, you will have branches that come forward here, and then they might have elements that go towards the right and towards the left. So an easy way to indicate those branches is to think about the perspective of a tree, which is really the perspective of a cone. And so if you've ever wondered, why do artists go to art school and then paint weird cube shapes like the kind we play with as kids, blocks lit with a little light? Why do we do that? That's because it teaches us how to do that.
So if Grace has a great
Well, we're almost, so what we're going
wait.
to do is we're going to get to the question in just a second, because
Good
I'm going to have to dry, and then John's going to run ads, and I'm going to answer questions. And I'm almost there. I'm just adding these last little. So we had 3 stages of green. We had a very dark green, and then a middle lighter green than that, and then one lighter green than that so far. And we have some dark green that we've got to come back with. But let's put it at the step. John will ask me the question, and then we'll come in and continue on the tree.
So before we go on to the step, this will be the end here. Bree was asking if I wanted to change my paints over to golden open, other than titanium white, what color would be the best to get first? What colors would you suggest there?
The ones that you use in everything. So I know titanium white. I know phthalo blue. Cad yellow is a good one to have in it. Get the core split palette. Like right away, I would be like my titanium white, and then I'd be like my cad red and my quinacridone, and then you know, after I got my phthalo blue, my ultramarine blue, and then after I got my 2 yellows, my cad yellow and my Hansel yellow light. So you know, you get your split primaries, and then you get your black, and then you can add your convenience colors like your Diox purples and your burnt siennas. But once you have your first 8, then, which is your white, your black, cad red, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, cad yellow medium, lemon yellow Hansa. Start there. I got a whole video about the 8 colors you need and why. It's really awesome. Shall we throw up a step, sir?
I think it would be excellent to throw up a step here. Let's see here.
Step 8 is gonna be great. All right, so we're doing really good here, but I do want to come in on this tree darker. And that is really going to be achievable by just doing this next layer. So I can come under here. And anywhere I felt like my depth wasn't enough, something, you know, John always likes to say that he likes meals that are cooked twice. And in painting, there's kind of a similar idea where layers, just the way they build up, right? Going to just very lightly. Notice that I'm using my dark green almost like a glaze in the center, kind of knocking the center branches back. They're still there. They're still pulling forward. But what will happen is that it will help inform that part of the tree. Now I'm going to get my brush into my yellow, and I'm going to make up some very, very light color up here. Kind of going up into that. See how it's super light? The reason it is up here is because the star is up here. Maybe just the top of that branch, but not everything there. So as I go down, this will become less. Okay, just less. Because the highlight, the star, is up at the top. My light source. Take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my Mars black now. I'm going to just wiggle back and forth a pretty intense shadow. It's pretty intense. Back into the white again. I just wiggle and see, blend that out and soften that out and make that. It's hidden. You've got this. Look at you go. You see when we come back over that dry brushing skill, that's a good skill. That's a good beginner skill. And a little bit of white, but it's got the blue in it. So you can see I add more white to kind of create slightly lighter values of snow. But very little of my snow would actually be white. Okay, now I'm going to have to put my glasses on. Dry everything. John will talk to you guys.
Dry it.
Dry everything, and we'll come back and we'll do what's next.
Okay. Do a quick dry. And so nice to see you. And yes, Art Gal, question, can you mix professional paints with less expensive paints? Yes, you can. Oftentimes, the more expensive paints do a good job of working with the less expensive paints. That's just a nature of that they have more stuff in them that makes them good at working with other things. So, yes, in general, you should be able to find that is the case. So, come back over here.
Number 4, Raphael Sepia brush. I love these. It's a round. It's got a good point on it. I'm on step 9. I'll come up here and I will take a little bit of my cad red and my cad yellow. Might even get a little, interestingly enough, my Mars black into it. We'll start here. And I'll have to be very, very careful. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up from my tree a little bit to the center of that spot where I made my white glow, and I'm going to put a dot, and that's going to help me do my star. So the first thing, remember, star has 5 points, so I can do a vertical point. Then there's the 2 straight ones like that might go out, right? Except on this type of star, because they are carved, I have to put them at a slight angle. And then one down. And then one down. And then when we have that all in, we're going to paint the shape. Later, we'll come in and we'll give it its carved effect. But right now, you just need to get the shape. Carved effect will come soon. And because we have the white glow, we have a way of erasing star if we don't like some element of it, which is kind of nice, actually. So if I need to come in and erase any part of my star, I can do that. Right? So that's that first star. Lovely branches. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and my cad red together. Make a bright orange. And let's put, okay, so there's a star here. Let's put one here. There's a star here. Let's come over to the side. So see, in the center, off the center. Then kind of next to it over here. And kind of next to it over here. And we're going to very carefully start to paint our little angled star. A little bit of an angle on that. And a little bit stretching over there and right there. So see how we're making that, by making the lines, we create the shape we know we're going to build up on. Will the stars be challenging for some of you guys? Yeah, because like, when did you last do this skill? Like, how much time and effort in your life have you invested in your star skill? Right? Like, it might have been a minute. Maybe you were like the whiz in grade school. You did all the stars and you got all the gold stars and you were great at it. But
Well,
as life has come along and changed, as we all know it can,
yep.
perhaps, your ability to star has waned a little bit. Don't worry, it will come back. It's just...
Esther says, really appreciate the steps. As a beginner, this helps a lot. Like the community I'm seeing and all the warm and inviting feelings from the Art Sherpa and moderators. First time here.
Oh, well, welcome so much. And yes, very much. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I can tell you the whole time, I have been really blessed in the people who have chosen to come and spend their time here, and I'm super grateful for every one of them. Just painting out. And remember, I can do background snow if I feel like I lost it. Right? And then some of that will go out, and some of that will go out. And I'm doing it very light. So I will build up over time. Notice that I did curve line there. So let's put another one over here. I would say probably for this type of thing, this is maybe the little star work is more work than, but it's good to do this. It's good to work on hitting those technical skills and then hitting those imagination skills. Like, you back them both up. That way, when your imagination has an idea, you've got the ability to execute that idea. How do I do original art? Get asked that all the time. You build up a ton of skills. You learn all of them, all the art skills, as many as you can. You take it as far as you can. Then when you have an idea and you say to yourself, what color would I use for that? You'll know. But if you're trying to invent an image and figure out the techniques and learn the materials, those are a lot of challenges to put in front of yourself. And that could make your experience with that much harder. This is the mood we need right now. Not specifically, I suppose. I mean, like, for some of us, the Christmas tree is that mood, but it's not that for everybody. What I would say is, the mood is serenity and peace, and I think we could all just use a little more. Every season that we start heading towards the holidays, a little serenity and peace, right? Let's breathe deeply. Nice angle. Notice that my stars have angles, don't they? They have an angle going in. Right? So maybe in your first time, it's hard for you to see that angle. Understand, you don't see everything in this picture when you start out. You don't see everything. You will see it as you go. You will start to see the perspectives. You will start to see the forms. You will start to see the shapes as you go. You may not see everything today. But it was never required that you did. Right? Seeing everything today is not an indicator of whether or not you're going to be an artist in the future. Sticking with it and finishing the painting and then finishing another painting and then finishing another painting and continuing to take classes is what makes you an artist in the future. I'd love to be a part of that. I'm happy to. I'm not even upset, though, when my teaching style isn't for everyone. I know you guys are out there learning. I'm not worried. Just trying to decide how much of that I want on there. And I can also, like, kind of take it back. So it's just getting them in so I can see them. And I kind of did it with a CAD, yellow and red, because they're going to lighten up, lighten up, lighten up, lighten up. This is not a heavy application of paint. A lot of the canvas is showing through. And that's okay. And I may come back with some white snow for my yellow snow that I've got going here. Make these a little bit bigger and kind of exaggerate the glow a little bit, because I can always come back and change that, can't I? Sometimes I like to wiggle around here and kind of increase the glow.
I like those. The stars are cool.
Yeah, I think so. I think the stars are super duper cool. It's like there's just a little bit of pigment on my brush, and so when I come in with like a little bit of pigment, I can make little effects and glows and drama moments without like overpainting the whole canvas. All right, I think that's pretty darn good. Let's dry it. Dry it, dry it, dry it. And we'll come back, we'll talk to you again about stuff that's going on in the world.
Okay, there we go. My headset cable broke loose for a second. So guys, if you have any questions about your patronage, your support, anything that's going on with that, you're having any troubles, you can email support@TheArtSherpa, and our team will totally be there to help answer those questions as quickly and as best they can. Yes. So
I had some to interject there.
Go right ahead.
Because this has been so why did we add Patreon to our patronage? They just have a ton of tools, and it's going to let me take the stuff that's only been in group or only been in different locations and lock it into one location. And it gives me a lot of ways for me to take care of you. And it's a set system. I've had a lot of people recommend it to me. And I felt like adding it. If you sign up through our website, it doesn't unlock anything over on Patreon. To address that, what we have is a dashboard that's specific to patrons on our website that you would sign into to get all the exact same stuff and your links. If you've signed up for the $15 level and you're trying to make the Zoom class, if you write support@theartsherpa.com and tell us about it, I'm just going to give you the links. I'm not gonna like check your ID. I'm just gonna. I mean, what a weird it's great to have support, and this is something I do for my supporters. I just will assume that all the people showing up are that, and then I made it also free over on Patreon, so you could try it out. And then if you're halfway through a painting, we will still also give you all the links, even if your free trial ends and you don't want to continue on with us, because again, I'm not gonna gatekeep that stuff. It would be weird, super weird. Now. Let's start with our next part, which I'm going to say is, I'm going to do my yellow, I think. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and my red and a smidge of my black. And I just want you to see this color real quick so it doesn't surprise you. I'm going to go right here. These will look very brightly yellow, but when you put this out, it may distinctly look to you like poopy baby, poopy yellow. Really, really like you've seen your baby make this color. If you had a baby. I've seen some puppies, some dogs, some cats. This is a weird poop color that happens. I don't know what causes it. It's still going to be brightly yellow on your canvas. I can't explain to you. Oh, I can explain to you. That's what I'm teaching. The reason that is because relative to everything else, it's a very bright yellow, and then when you add the brighter yellow on it, all it will appear is to be the yellow and shadow. So that's what we're doing, is we're just making the yellow and shadow. And first, let's make some big bulbs. Let's come right here. I'm going to take my brush and make a round bulb. And then, you can put a top on it if you feel like it. I'll start with the big ones, and then I'll put the little decorations in. I'm going to let you know right now, the way my brain works, I can't guarantee that every Christmas ball will land where originally it did, because I am weird like that. I will try to keep the same balance. I always do between things. I think artists study things for sure in art. But I think also sometimes we do iterations and studies in art because we're just like, oh, I need to try it a different way. So it's almost a yellow ochre color. I'm just making little Christmas balls. I like to do this little bit to the top. If you're having terrible time with coverage, you would paint all your Christmas balls white first. Like if your paint just isn't going over the tree and showing, and it's like it's invisible, just paint all the colors that you needed bright white first. So these are the gold bulbs. So many holiday paintings and so many winter landscapes. I've got a pine, a snowy pine, just a landscape for you guys who don't want to do Christmas trees or you're just into landscapes. It is a beautiful, deciduous little snowy pine. I think that's the correct term. Just gorgeous and old and twisty, and the snow is wonderful, and it has that high desert feel to it. I really like it. Oh, I love what Retcham just said. It's hard to wait to the break. All right, I'm going to continue making little dots, guys. Little dots. And here's the frustrating thing about live painting is that you don't probably need to see every little dot. But I haven't figured out how to include a time lapse during my live. So now I'm going to come down. I'm going to add a little more. Just a little more yellow to this mix. Not much, but just a little more. So they're just a little brighter. And then I'll mix it dark into the dark again. You can even see just with that layer, look how much it brightened up. All right, now let's put our big red bulbs through, which is going to be red and black. I could have done red and purple, but I decided to do red and black. It works almost just as well. And on this type of painting, the benefit to the Docs purple isn't enough to warrant anything. When we get to the break, I have some proud mama stuff I have to do where I may explode. I'm just letting you know it's building up. All right, I'm going to come here and add a bulb. All right, and let's make another big focal one right here. Because so you can see this red is very dark, right? This is a dark red. It's almost a brown sometimes to our eyes, right? And we're like, what? You feel almost brown. Notice that some of my bulbs are big and some are small. I'm so glad you guys are doing okay. Take a deep breath. It can help to hold your breath while you're doing delicate work. And you will hear me constantly remind you to pull your breath in and take a deep breath. And that is because I know that, because I too am holding my breath to do delicate work. I wish I had a surgeon's hands. I wish I had the kind of like control that you will sometimes see among surgeons, but I don't. And so I have to make strategies to help me steady my grip. So that's the big ones. And a rinsey, rinsey, rinse. Hear that vigorous rinse? And another vigorous rinse in the water. Wipe off because I don't want to have them going everywhere. And back into my darker yellow color that I was doing for the gold balls. Just a little bit of black. And you can see what I do is I roll my brush and I load on the toe. And I think I'm going to try to do a little run. Of little beads up the tree.
Super cute beads.
Sometimes I'll get them a little big. I'm sorry. These are the strands. So that's sort of what's informing my thinking there, is that these are the strands. And I can always put a few here, right? See, I kind of crisscross the tree. Just making little balance. We're just looking for our balance. All we're doing is we're getting our balance going. Perhaps it's our new balance, perhaps not. It's hard to say. All right, I think. Adding a little red ball doesn't really matter. Now I am going to dry and we come back. We will tell you guys what is next in the lesson. We'll run ads because I'm going to use a hairdryer and catch up on questions and current events. So I'll see you in a second.
Just a second.
If you're here on the replay and you don't want to hear the chat, I'll see you on the other side of the step.
So, oh my gosh, thank you, Ramona. We really love that you guys come and are enjoying this with us. We really enjoy doing these with you guys. So thank you for taking the time in the day and coming and visiting with us. We're super grateful to have you here with us. It was just super our pleasure to see you guys and have you along with us. So, yay! Did you see Ramona?
I did not. What is Ramona? I did not see Ramona.
She said that you are fabulous, and their mods are awesome, and they rock, and she just loved being here with us.
Fun fact, some of these mods have been helping me for nearly a decade.
Mm-hmm.
They're just viewers like you who also love the show, and they're not art cops. They're just wonderful guys that will tell you where all the videos are, because I've made, it doesn't look like it, but if you put the live videos together, the recorded videos together, everything I've made across every platform, I've made more than 2,500 full instruction tutorials. So yeah. Moderators in this house work hard.
That's right.
I feel kind of bad about it. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of my black and blue together and my white, and I'm going to make kind of a blue-gray. And I'll come at the top of my bulbs here, the big ones, and I will add a little bit of that. You can see I do a little cross line and a vertical line. A little cross line and a vertical line. These are the little bits of the hangers that do show on bulbs. And one of the things that we can do when we're painting it is by capturing that, sometimes we can get a really good result. I'm also going to come in and take a little bit of my yellow, just my yellow, and I'm going to paint in the center of my stars just a bit. Not all the way to the edges. I'm going to leave some of the orange. It's pretty cool. I like that two-tone. Two-tone Tony. Hope everyone is... I know we're hitting the holidays a little bit, but you know what? It's been a rough couple of years, and I could use some turkey, so I'm running into all of it.
We're going to do some holiday stuff.
Yeah, that's me. You don't have to do any of that stuff. I have plenty of landscapes and just regular stuff, but I had been waiting on cranberries and turkey for a while, and I don't just eat it on the big days. It's like we're going to cook it all the time until they stop giving it to us. So, like, some people are like the shamrock shake. I'm the I'm not the turkey. Sorry, I promised I wouldn't do like chatty chats in the middle, but you know, sometimes a thought hits you. Just sort of trying to improve that glow. No, I'm going to do a little thing here because I just want it to be even a little more. I'm going to take a power tool that I have, my round blender. I love my round blender. This is a number. I got to wash this one. Put that over here. This is a, I love them so much. They're all worn down. So this is a number 12 Princeton Select round blender. I do have it on my website. But Princeton is a company that is all over the world. It's in Canada. It's in the UK. And the Select line is internationally distributed. So you can find these. And I recommend having one in your kit. It's just fantastic for so much. I'm going to get a little bit of my yellow on here. And I'm going to just dry brush and dust out a little bit of a little bit of a dust. See how we're just dusting it?
Yeah.
A little bit of yellow. We're going slow because it's hard to take away. It's easy to add. Oh, that was too much. But then you can make it work. So don't feel like you can't. Because I can come right back with a little bit of my snow and see it's like, oh, okay. I'm just glowing snow. All right. That's pretty good. I like that very much. Looking stupendous. Now, first, I'm going to take a little bit of my kind of white and my yellow together. And I'm going to come up here with my small brush and the top of my star. And I'm going to paint the little triangle inside the star. And then I'm going to paint this little triangle inside this star with the white. And go ahead and get a little bit more of my yellow and red together. I'm going to come on this side right here. See how I'm dividing that star in half and that's creating the reflection? Yeah. And let's come down here and add that highlight. Look at that star. It's just suddenly like a carved star. It's like, what? I know. It's so cool. Ooh, couldn't just love it. Couldn't just love it. Couldn't just love it. Make a nice bright orange. Just to kind of warm it up, right? And a little yellow. Just keep playing with it till I get it. Look at that go. That is terrific. You can always come and get just a little black on here. And just make sure that there is, at the lines, maybe a little extra shadow. And I can come through with just a little bit of white and my round brush and also sharpen these lines from the outside. And that's something that sometimes we don't think about, that we can sharpen a line from the outside. Coming from a different kind of little direction. You can see I just do little wiggle motions. And notice how I can use my brush to wiggle out this color to blend it too. Then I can come right here from the star to the top of the tree. Come here. And we're going to go down everywhere that we had a little metal thing that we added. We're going to come and add a little reflection. See how we're doing? It's just the tiniest reflection. It's such a small thing. It's like a dot and a dot. It's just... because sometimes that's all we see. That's all we get to see. We see the reflection and we don't really see the object that is casting the reflection, but because we're so familiar with it, we'll know what it is. And Christmas bulbs are one of those weird things where you're like, oh, I know what that is. All right, let's call that a step. But we don't need to dry. Now let's highlight some of these little wonderful little Christmas bulbs. So first I'm going to take a little bit of my red, and I'm going to come to the top. And kind of just curl it around. See, I'm leaving some of it dark. Tops of all the red. Curving it around. I'm kind of curving it around. Just bringing it over the top. Rinsing out. Let's go through and grab a lot of our yellow and add it over to our dark gold that we made earlier. It's a lot more of our yellow, right? Again, that top. And even on these little guys, I'm not going to do the whole thing. It's as important to leave the shadow as it is to do the highlight. So pay attention to both things. They will both make your painting experience much better. It's a lot of dotting. It's okay to not dot everything because some dots will be deeper in the tree. So if you do miss one, don't panic. Just kind of going through.
Just getting the little details in there.
Yeah, you just highlight the top half of the bead where the light from the star is going to come down and get on the bead. Just using that lighter yellow color to highlight these beads. And then while these are having a highlight at the tops, we're highlighting their tops. The tree is getting there. I'm going to come in and grab a little bit of my Cad Red and some of my Mars Black, a little bit darker. Still got the red in it, but it's a lot more Mars Black for it. And I'm going to come here and on just one side of the little ball, kind of improve the shadow, deepen the shadow just a little bit. This also helps round the balls, the shadow. It's on that left-hand side. It's a little bit rounded in. Sometimes I'll come back through with some just pure red. It's that third layer that really pops. I don't know what it is about it, but it just does. We're getting there. We haven't even put the reflections on yet, which changes, well, gosh, just everything. Another thing that I can do is I can take a little bit of my black over here. to my little gold ball color from earlier, which was my yellow, a little bit of cad red, and some Mars black. But now we've made it much more intense. And we're going to also make sure that there's a dark shadow on the gold balls as well.
Yeah.
I'm creating that dark shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit on the bottoms. These are a curve stroke that go underneath the ball. And we're going. And we're painting. And we're fine. Right? So I've added some deeper shadows. And that definitely causes them to pop. And then take some yellow over here and some white. I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow and white. Just a touch. Can you see how we're just touching the ball? Then they're just glowing, aren't they? When you add this last thing, oh my goodness, it just goes crazy. It's so amazing, and I love it so much, and it makes painting fun. And you know, I was saying to John the other day, I get to do what I love to do. He and I get to spend time together, which we love. We get to do what we love to do, and we're so grateful to all of you for being interested in art and giving us a chance to share what we know with you so that we can all be doing things we love together.
Yep.
Look at those reflections. Just pop. It's like even more popped. All right. Now, rinse out. I'm going to come here with a little bit of white. Sometimes I will touch with a little bit of white too, just to make some brighter reflections on the gold balls. And then just highlight on the star too, because it has a little bit of a highlight up there, which I really like. Okay, everything needs a dry, sir.
Just a quick dry.
A quick dry so I don't drag everything all over.
Mm-hmm. This has been really fun painting. I hope you guys are having a good time. It's lovely to see everybody in chat. If you're new and haven't had a chance to join us in one of the live chats, you should come by. They're a heck of a lot of fun. You probably will enjoy hanging out with them.
I love hanging out with them.
Alrighty. Next step.
I'm going to take my number 4 Raphael Artini brush. And this is a European brand. This is a 250-year-old brand. So you guys should be able to find Raphael places. They've been making brushes since brush has been made. I'm going to come over here with a little of my white and grab my snow color from earlier. I just want something just a little bit close to white, but not perfectly white, if that makes sense. Add a little snow to elements on the outside of my tree. It's fun to do. See, I'm adding more snow up top, like a little more happened up here. So whatever went on it was temporary, and it, you know, kind of came in and did this, and then kind of dig that a lot. Now I can increase the contrast if I want to, and I'm going to show you where. And take a little bit of my phthalo green and a little of my burnt sienna, and it makes a very kind of dark green. And if there's anywhere I want to darken, see how that's easy for me to do. So on top of that, we have this nice area where we can lighten these branches and put some little snow on them. We also have areas where we can darken. And I think it's fun that they're sort of just on these little outside edges. You can do them across, but I actually think it's kind of fun having it dark on the inside. It's looking good. Looking very, 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 very good. Okay. Sometimes I do get to playing. I won't lie. I can take a little bit of my phthalo blue and my burnt sienna. I can very carefully make sure that some of this is maybe a little darker. See, I'm doing with like a little, almost like a glaze. Whenever I'm working, I will look at something and be like, do I have the contrast that I want? Do I have the... I might have to put a little bit back there later. And that might happen to me sometimes because I'll get in there and I'll be like, ooh, and then later I'll be like, no. See how I can just come back in and change my mind? You can change your mind. Grab that little thing. I'm going to let this have a dry for a second, and I'll come kind of fix it in a minute. Right now, what I want to do is I want to take my background color, which is my phthalo blue and my burnt sienna. And I'm going to make sure that I really hit that outer edge a little bit darker. See how I did there? Just make sure that that's deep. Deep, deep, deep. It's deep. It's intellectual. Right? Be intellectual about it. I think that will let me have a little curling brush stroke out. Okay. A little bit heavier on the brushes, but it's all right. I'm going to dry everything and we come back. I'll show you what's next.
All right. Wow, this is really coming good. And this is happy holidays to all of the peoples here with us. Lubella, Mary, Amy, Grace, Lucy. I see all the folks here, Colin, Amy. Guys, I just thank you for being here with us. We really like seeing you.
Very lovely to see everybody.
You ready for your next step?
I am. I'm going to look for a detail brush that has a nice back end that's small, and that way I can do a good dot. You could use a dotting tool like you do for nails. I'm going to use fluid acrylic because if I thin my heavy-bodied acrylic here, I will have to add a little bit of time to that. But basically, I just take clean water and I thin down some heavy-bodied acrylic paint to the consistency of the fluid paint. What's the difference? Why wouldn't you just always do that? Because there's actually more pigment in the fluid paint, which is why I like it. There's more white paint in that fluid white paint than is in the tube paint. All right, so I'm going to come here and I dip my brush up and down. And I'm going to just make little snow. I like my dots to be big and small. You could do splatter for sure if you wanted. Just all over. It's snowing. So snow doesn't always have to be... Good idea to just make big dots and little dots because snow be like that. I'm pretty careful putting my snow on the tree or over the tree. I don't want to take out details that are super important to me. And you can see because the white is just one shade above what I put on the tree, it actually will show sometimes over the snow. Little trick. Take a deep breath. Let it out. This is a good part of the painting to really work on de-stressing. Very good part of the painting to work on de-stressing. Now, the Zoom class is like this, but there's more talking. And really it's because it's interactive and I can see what people are painting if they allow me. And we have a Q&A at the end, and then we sort of edit the part out you can't hear because we don't record people. So you don't hear what other people are saying or see what they're doing. You just see the lesson. And then John sort of edits out the surplus. So if you want to try it, I think it's really cool, and I think it's so cool I've made it free. So you can, for a week, you can go try it for a week, and here's what, like, if you don't want to sign up through Patreon and you want to sign up through our website, again, or change something on the website from your current thing, you just write us and we'll take care of it. But that doesn't mean that Patreon cares what I do on my website. And so it may not show there. That's why we give you guys dashboards. So you never have to worry about having your resources. Guys, I think we just got there, didn't we? No, an extra step I would do. I'm going to sign it, and then I'm going to show you the thing that I might add to it. Okay. But because I don't know how it's going to work out for sure, I didn't do it the first time. We will get the picture, the step picture, and then and then I'll do the other splatter. I want to do small splatter too. I'm using a detail brush to sign my name, as you do. Far too close to the edge. All right, so I have this here, and I'm thinking I want to do a little bit of mist splatter or small particulate splatter since I did the big. So I'm going to take my old splatter brush. We're going to, I think, do these again. Okay. For you guys. I don't know. Thinking about it. If you guys like splatter brushes. Work on something there, yeah. Yeah, maybe. Hook you up for that stuff that there are weird tools that I invented. And we got to go. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to flick. Yeah. I'm not sorry. It just makes it more snowy to me. Yeah. I like the big chunks, and you could have just the big chunks. And I decided to do this where I would show them differently. And that way, if you didn't want to do this part, you wouldn't have to. But look at that. Isn't that? Wow. Oh, my goodness. They're just so... There's a creepy bug on the wall. Ooh, I don't like him at all. He's big. I'm
Where?
sorry, Bug.
Where is
He's
he?
beautiful. You would love him.
Where is he? Point.
He's right there. He's one of the bugs that flew in
it's just
Honey's
a wheel
mouth.
bug. No,
Huh?
it's just a wheel bug.
Yeah, but the wheel bug flew in Honey's mouth.
It's-
I don't want him to fly in my mouth.
No, they're big. It's just a beetle. It's cold outside.
I'm sorry, but his beautiful beetle. He's a beautiful beetle.
He's not going anywhere.
He's beautiful. He's just walking. He's just very large and armored, and he just kind of freaked me out for a second. And if you're wondering who I'm talking to, one of our moderators is the Bug and loves bugs, and all bugs are their friend. And I think that's wonderful, and I support them. But not every bug loves me as much. The bug loves me more than other bugs. May have carried in the past. Oh my goodness, didn't we do good today?
You did.
All right. Now I might want to, I'm going to show you a little thing. I feel like it got a little heavy on the snow, and I might come through with like a grainer if I were to touch it up later. And I'm just answering this because I know someone's going to write me at the end and be like, but the branches. So one thing I can do is I can come back with my grainer in a dark color. See how that?
Oh, yeah.
That sometimes will put your edges in where you need them.
Mm-hmm.
So filbert grainer is what I'm using, and it's just because I got a little thick fixing that. That'll happen. And what we don't do is like, I've been painting live online for a really long time, and so I've already faced the paint something live and have it go bad fear 1,000 times. So, the thing about that is like once you've gotten through it, then you're kind of like, all right, well, I'm just going to make sure that it works out. And I'll just come back in and fudge it. I just wanted you to see that you could come back in with like this and get more of that edge if you needed it. Filbert grainer. This brush right here. I like the Velvet Touch. It feels very, very good. It's also by Princeton. Oh my goodness. Did we go? We did. So share your finished paintings with me. I have a group on Facebook that is a curated group. We moderate what's in there. Now it's an interesting thing. I want you to know that we don't allow every kind of art posted in there. It's tutorials that you paint with me. Absolutely. And I do have some pin posts where you can share other kinds of art all week, and you just put it in the comments there. And then on Friday, we have Fine Art Fridays. Absolutely. We don't have religious art or political art or nudes. And here's why. Because y'all fight. It's just really what it is sometimes what happens is somebody will post something and it will be different. It will hit someone else differently. And then a whole debate, and we don't like moderating that. It happens in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. So that's why we have that. I support everything. And from October through January, we lift that for holiday themed paintings. So like holiday, because obviously there's so many holidays, 27 holidays over this period, which is why I say happy holidays, because there's so many holidays. So we do let people paint holiday paintings during that time, of course. But that's why we have that. And the reason we do is because we do zero conflict, because the world seems to have a conflict down. We decided we would skip that portion of the experience. So it's moderate. Please share there. The Zoom class is on Sunday. Again, we're going to be finishing up Christmas Cow. Hopefully we'll have a new little brushes kids show for you on Monday that will stay up. We think we've solved it. I'm not saying it's a good show yet. I'm saying I think we solved the technical challenges. You'll have to decide if it's a good show. And we've got blending brushes coming up where I show you more about those mops and explain my thinking on that. So that's what all's coming up, plus a ton more holiday paintings. This has been a really fun painting, and I hope you enjoyed it. I want you guys to be good to yourselves, and I want you guys to be good to each other. And I'll see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.